David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano, top-tier journalists, have been dropping some pretty big updates on the Man Utd takeover changes and the transfer plan. Antonio Silva, Fabrizio Romano confirms Manchester United will sign a centre-back in 2024. Could Timo Werner be coming in January? Who is Manchester United's new CEO? What's happening with the takeover? And more is everything we're going to discuss in today's show. And then we'll also be talking about potential transfer outs in January and if Højlund is fit for the Galatasaray game and the latest on Ten Hag's plan for Mainoo. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And let's get into the video. So David Ornstein has come out and said that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's 25% stake in Manchester United is not expected to be announced this week. He said on the Ratcliffe deal, as far as I understand it, we are not expected to get an announcement this week. Of course, that can change, but that's the current expectation. However, I am told this is progressing and there's no serious concerns. There was rumours, reports, the takeover stalling because Qatar are coming in from very unreliable people. As much as people want the full sale, as much as I wanted Qatar on the full sale over Sir Jim Ratcliffe originally, we are getting Sir Jim Ratcliffe. It is very, very close. It's just taking its time because Manchester United are slow at everything. We're slow at transfers. We're slow at everything we do. We are slow Chester United, and that's been the case for a while. Everything's underway with the Ratcliffe side of things. Everything's underway with the deal. There's just basically a few delays going on. But it said once the deal was announced, it's only expected to take a couple of weeks. There was a rumour that it would take 6 to 8 weeks for ownership to be ratified, but apparently they've done most of the groundwork. So once it's announced, it could only take a week or two. It was said by David Ornstein that Jean Claude Blanc is expected to be Man United's new CEO. The fact that it's come out of Ornstein's mouth that Blanc's expected to be the CEO is pretty massive, just because Ornstein is David Ornstein. I think we've known for a while that Blanc's going to be the new CEO. Richard Arnold's been sacked. He's gone, which pretty much confirms we're getting a new CEO. And we've always kind of known it's going to be Blanc, but Ornstein's basically said that's expected to happen from what he's aware of. And Ornstein wouldn't be saying that unless he was pretty sure. It was also said that Michael Edwards will not be the new sporting director of United. I'm a big fan of Michael Edwards. He did a fantastic job at Liverpool. I'd happily let United bring Michael Edwards in as the new sporting director to replace Murta, which is a shame. But if Paul Mitchell's coming in, I don't mind missing out on Michael Edwards. I think Paul Mitchell is most people's first choice, but I think Michael Edwards has done just as good a job at Liverpool as Paul Mitchell has done in his career. Now, the United Muppeteers also gave an update on Ineos's plan, and they said it's reiterated to me today that Ineos's transfer focus will be based on long-term goals, and a major overhaul would be expected for the summer. January should be quiet on ins and no panic signings that cause issues for later. They would be interested in clearing out players, however. Believe Jim is on holiday this week, so wouldn't be surprised if it goes on further. Discuss where it's at near the end. Announcement could come anytime, but who knows? So they're saying Ratcliffe's on holiday. Unlikely there'll be an announcement this week. It'll probably come in future. Who knows? But an interesting thing they said is the January window could be small. There might not be any panic buys, which is interesting because we've been linked to Werner. But they're saying they want to clear out a lot of players, particularly big name, big wage players, and have a big overhaul in the summer. And we're going to talk about what that overhaul in the summer could look like as well. And then this other report came out that a few people have been tweeting about, saying that Carlo Ancelotti got an offer from United. Now, there has been 3 or 4 sources recently linking Carlo Ancelotti to United, saying that Carlo Ancelotti got an offer for United, la-di-da. Carlo Ancelotti, I think, got an offer for Brazil. I think he's got offers elsewhere. I don't think he's going to go to United. And Ten Hag's just won 5 of his last 6 games. So although football's crap, I don't think Ratcliffe's going to go and just sack Ten Hag. I think if Ratcliffe's going to sack Ten Hag, he's going to do it in the summer after the season and assess how it went. But I do want to dive into the transfer news. In terms of transfer news, we've got a big story linking Man United to Antonio Silva, a player that Manchester United have been linked to for a while because Manchester United have genuine, serious interest in Antonio Silva. It's not just Portuguese media overhyping it. Antonio Silva and João Neves, we know from Fabrizio Romano, we know from reliable sources, United really want these players. It was said by Pletty Goal that Benfica centre-back Antonio Silva is absolutely the top target for Man United in the summer. United are keen on the contract details and plan of the top talent. He has a €100 million release clause. Benfica expect him to leave. €100 million, that's about £80 million. I hope you can get for around £60 million, but Benfica are good at rinsing money out of people. But Fabrizio Romano also confirmed this and said, yeah, Antonio Silva remains high on United's list. Todibo and Tapsoba also there. Tapsoba seeming unlikely because of Bayer Leverkusen's success. I think Todibo and Antonio Silva are the top two most likely to happen at centre-back. I'm a big fan of both. I think Antonio Silva is the better of the two. He's got the better potential. He's absolutely incredible on the ball. One of the best ball-playing centre-backs ever, and that would really help with build-up issues. So young, so brilliant, but could be a fortune. Value for money, Todibo is the best option. In terms of ceiling, in terms of ability, I think Antonio Silva is the best option. In an ideal world, we get both. Now, another player we've been linked to that isn't quite as good as Antonio Silva, and a lot of people aren't happy about, is Timo Werner. It was first said by Plettigol last night that United had inquired about signing Timo Werner in January, but no negotiations have taken place yet. And then Fabrizio Romano actually confirmed this and said, look, yeah, Man United are keeping an eye for opportunities in the January transfer window, and Timo Werner is a possibility. The club is informed of the situation, but before making a decision, the process for Sergio Ratcliffe's 25% stake must be finalised. And basically, the way I see it is Man United want a support striker for Haaland. Martial could be going, Sancho could be going in January, and United are looking at maybe a short-term deal with Timo Werner. But the interesting thing is they're not saying loan deal, they're saying permanent deal. For me, I think Timo Werner could work in Ten Hag's style of play. I think Timo Werner actually suits the style of play that Man United are going to play, and he might be better suited to Man United than currently Leipzig and Chelsea. And I think he could work under Ten Hag. And I think 3 years ago, I would have been absolutely gassed with Man United signing Timo Werner. I used to be a massive fan of the guy. But Leipzig don't want him. Chelsea didn't want him. I think that he is washed. And I think, should Man United be signing players like Timo Werner, Valvegos, Degalo, or should Man United just be like, you know what, we need to sign a proper player? Timo Werner on loan for 6 months, and then in summer we sign a proper striker? Fine. Because to be honest, Man United don't have the money to fork out a proper striker in January, because that's like 60, 70 million. But we do have the money to get a proper centre-back in January, and Todibo, a proper right-winger in January. Yeah, Timo Werner short-term, fine. But as a long-term solution, as a long-term backup to Højlund, I wouldn't prioritise this. I don't think he'll be bad under Ten Hag. I think he'll suit the system. I think he'll suit the way that we'll play. But I just think, is this the kind of guy I want to be going for in January? I'd rather invest the funds in someone like Todibo and just keep on to Martial for now, because all of a sudden, Martial's managed to find a way to stay fit and not get injured. Now, I wrote a list of all the players that United are sort of looking at, and this is based off what the reliable sources have said. And at right centre-back, our first two options are Todibo and Antonio Silva. At left centre-back, our options are Branthwaite and Inacio. And at the 6/8 hybrid role, our first two options are Amadou Onana and Fofana. At right wing, we've been looking mostly at Neto and Williams, but that is highly dependent on Sancho. We're a massive fan of João Neves, and we have been looking at short-term striker options like Taremi and Højlund, who are most likely linked. But we've also kept an eye on people like Marcus Leonardo, Nusa, Pino, Palacios, Oscar Zambrano, Andre, Tapsoba, Gueye, and Frimpong. These are all the players that reliable sources have said that United have an eye on. Right centre-back, Todibo and Antonio Silva. Left centre-back, Braithwaite and Inacio. 6/8, Amadou Onana / Fofana. United really want to rebuild that centre-back DM core, but also keep an eye on a few attackers and João Neves. That is probably the latest in terms of the ins in regards to United transfers. And let's talk about the latest on the outs. It was said that Juventus have already contacted Jadon Sancho's camp and that they would love to sign him, but on a loan deal, with Man United covering a big part of the salary and not a small part. Juventus are waiting. And you know what it is? Any other club, and they get 20 million bid for Sancho, 30 million bid for Sancho, but every club knows it's Man United. They're desperate to sell Sancho. They're crap at selling, and the player's not playing and is on strike, so Man United have no choice but to let him go in January. Juventus can afford his wages. Juventus can afford to sign Sancho, but they won't. And no one won't, because it's Man United and we've got no power. In the summer, I think if we'd have really tried, we could have got 50 million for Sancho, because Arsenal paid 65 million for Kai Havertz and Sancho had a better ceiling than Kai Havertz. But now I think we'd be lucky to get 20 million for Sancho because of the situation, because of Sancho sort of going on strike. And I just think, okay, we need to get rid of Sancho in January, but us loading him and paying most of the wages again is absolutely ridiculous for a £72 million signing. Absolutely ridiculous. I really just hope someone comes in there and is like, yeah, we're going to give you 25 million for Sancho in January, bish, bash, bosh, done. I will take 25 million quid for Sancho. I don't want loan deals. I don't want us paying the wages. I want him gone. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case with Sancho leaving. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the Galatasaray game, who's expected to be fit for the Galatasaray game, this and that, because there's a little bit of a setback on Højlund. Will Højlund be back from injury or not? Insider United, who'd been spot on, the first to confirm the Mount calf injury, the first to confirm Wan-Bissaka was injured, the first to confirm that Luke Shaw's coming back. Insider United, that have been spot on with all their injury updates, have said Rasmus Højlund is back in the running and being monitored for the Galatasaray game. Could be too soon to start for him. He's being monitored. We're probably going to find out maybe tomorrow if he's going to play or not. I think he'll travel, and then I think they're going to assess on the day if Højlund is ready to play or not. Now, the final story is a little bit about Mainoo. I saw that Stretford Trends has said this, and Erik ten Hag, after the match, after Mainoo's great performance versus Everton, referred to him as a 6 and said, I expect that from my 6, this and that. And I think Stretford Trends made a great point here. Erik ten Hag refers to Mainoo as a 6 on face value, meaning that he sees the player as part of a double pivot with deep responsibilities and freedoms to move into attacking areas. So United need to look at his partner, who is a tall, athletic ball winner. And for me, that is Amadou Onana and Fofana. The two midfielders we've been linked to the most are Amadou Onana and Fofana. And I think with Ten Hag's long-term plans for Mainoo, it's very obvious Ten Hag has rated Mainoo highly and has plans to build around Mainoo. United are going to need that physical DM that's really tall, that can cover a lot of ground, that's a 6'8" hybrid, to play next to Mainoo and complement him well. I'm a big fan of Kobbie Mainoo, and I really hope that he reaches his potential, but it's obvious that Ten Hag has big plans for the player. He sees him as a long-term 6, which is interesting, because I still think Mainoo's probably more of an 8, but he's got the ability to play as a 6 as well. But anyway, people, please do smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I hope you enjoyed today's transfer update and news update. See you next time. Bye.